Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another exciting week of marketing. I know we are winding down the semester here, and I'm sure you're getting pretty excited about that. This week, we are moving on to social and mobile marketing, which happens to be one of my absolute favorite topics in this course. It's something that I studied extensively in grad school, and I think you guys will really enjoy this. That being said, this chapter, chapter 3, and also the chapter we're going to cover in our next presentation, chapter 18, both make up the promotion P of the four P's of marketing. So um, this chapter today will be more about learning some of the terminology and understanding it so that next week, when we start to look at some of these more details for chapter 18, it all kind of comes together and you uh, are able to understand some of those more advanced topics next week. So this week I want you to focus more on understanding the terminology, making sure you're familiar with it, that kind of thing. So as we jump in, like I said, we're going to be talking about social media, and I believe that's something that the majority of us are all very familiar with. Your book does define social media as the online and mobile technologies that distribute content to facilitate interpersonal interactions. Um, that being said, the whole big to do in today's society is that all those old vehicles of transmission that we used to market in large quantities, such as TV advertisements, print advertising, radio advertising, um, all of those things, even mail marketing, where you're doing a direct mail campaign and you're mailing something out to a bunch of people, or telemarketing, calling people door to door. Those things just aren't as popular today. They aren't as well received. It's just kind of old news. We're all familiar with those things. It's nothing special. But social and mobile marketing is something that is very, very much so alive and still growing, and a great way for your company to get its name out there and promote your product. So, as we talk about social, mobile, and online marketing, um, this falls under what we refer to as integrated marketing communication, abbreviated as IMC. Um, and this changing role of our traditional media, our sales promotions, and our retail, coupled with all this new social and mobile and online media, it's really led to a different way of thinking about the objectives of marketing communication and about integrated marketing communication. So we use what we call the 4E framework for social media as we're creating these online advertisements, whether it be social, mobile, online, email, whatever it is. We use this 4E framework. It's usually used mostly for social media. Um, and there's four components. That's why we call it the four E's. They all start with E. Okay, so we have excitement, educate, experience, and engage. So we're going to talk about these four categories. The first thing that we want to do is we want to excite our customers with these relevant offers. Okay, and exciting the customer can take place in a lot of different ways. Usually, we're using a lot of different types of social media related offers to excite consumers. Okay, it can be a mobile app, it can be a game, or it can be a Facebook post or something on Pinterest or Google Plus. All these things are out there to try to excite your consumers, your customers, about an idea or about your product or your brand or your company in general, right? We're all usually familiar with these types of advertisements, I'm sure, and I'll give you some examples shortly. Um, One of the best ways to excite customers is to use those CRM systems, the customer relationship management systems, or loyalty programs. We've talked about those in past weeks. You can really combine some of those programs along with um, the social and mobile marketing to really excite your consumers. So, for example, if you know that Mr. Harrison loves McAdoo's and he always goes there every week and he uses a loyalty card, then maybe you can target him on social media and make sure that you're giving him an offer for 50% off the mushroom burger because that's what he gets every Tuesday on Burger Nut, right? So you can go through and target your customers, but also giving them a really relevant offer. Okay, if you know that someone is shopping for, they're remodeling a bathroom and they're looking for towels and shower curtains, you can send them a targeted offer based on towels and shower curtains. Um, if you're a fan of clothing and you're always shopping at, I don't know, a lot of you guys in your discussion posts lately have written about American Eagle or Aerie. If you're shopping at those stores and you know that you're looking for new clothing and you shop there every week, they can send you a targeted offer for 25% off your next purchase or whatever. Using that CRM system and those loyalty programs to kind of personalize an offer is all about exciting the customer, making it relevant to them, very personal. Okay. Um, so, something else that is really cool that has really helped with this excitement component is location based software and various apps. And I'm going to give you an example of these in a second, but all of this location based software and these apps can help bring the offer to the customer right as they're in the process of thinking about buying, right as they're in the process of making a purchasing decision. Okay. Your book mentions an example about Staples. They might, while you're in the store, they might pop up with a relevant coupon for your office supplies right on your mobile phone. It's right there. They know you're in the store. They can give you an offer. That's a good example. I use the Coupon Me app a lot. I'm all about saving money and getting a deal when I can. So the Coupon Me app is really cool if you're actually going into brick and mortar stores. Um, I can just be driving down the street in a metropolitan area where there's a lot of different stores and everything all around, and my phone will just go crazy with boom, boom, boom. Oh, Belk's having this sell. Kohl's is having this sell. Oh, go get your haircut at Smart Clips or Smart Cuts or whatever, and they're just popping up all the time with all these different coupons, and you can see that, and it's super exciting. So this location-based software can be used to excite you about these things, even if you weren't thinking about going to Target and buying some coffee mugs or home goods. You can see, oh my gosh, these are on sale for 50% off. Maybe I should go at least look and see what they have. Or, oh gosh, I've really been needing that new blender. I better go in and look. So these Coupon Me apps, the Coupon Me app is really cool, and this location-based software does help with that excitement aspect of social mobile marketing. Um, Okay, so once we've excited our consumers about our product or our business, we next need to educate them about the specific offering that we have. Okay, so the really imperative part of well designed social media marketing offers is every single one of them, if they're well designed, they do have a clear call to action. And that call to action is exactly what it sounds like. You're trying to make your consumers act. You're trying to draw them to their computers, their tablets, their cell phone, onto your website, or maybe you're inspiring them to, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to buy this online, but I definitely want to go look at it in the store. Either way, you're giving them some kind of call to action to make them want to research your product, look more into it, maybe go ahead and purchase it right on the spot. Like I said, go look at it in a store, something. You're educating them more about your product now that you've excited them. Okay, so and this is awesome because right as the same way that right as you walk into a traditional store, if Best Buy is having a sale, they can have a sign that tells you all appliances are, if you buy them all, you get 25% off, or buy one, get three free, or something like that. You can inform your customers and educate them right at the door with some kind of sign as they're walking in. Or, Kohl's might have a sign that says, oh, this is our closeout sale. Everything is 70% off, or all summer wear 70% off, or whatever. In the same way that those traditional stores do that to you, um, your online retailers need to do the same thing. Um, so our marketers really have a great opportunity in this aspect to educate our consumers about their value proposition, about whatever benefit they're offering, what kind of sale they have going on. That should be the first thing you notice with your advertisement. And sometimes, by the way, I say educating the consumers. Sometimes you're not really telling them anything new. A lot of times you're just reminding them of something that they already know. So if they already know that every year Starbucks is going to have the chestnut praline latte and all these holiday drinks, they can just let you know that. It's more so just reminding you of what's already out there, educating you about that annual trend that they have. Okay, so social media tools are really critical in helping marketers educate their potential customers. And a lot of times with education, you see blogs, blogging tools. Sometimes people use HubSpot, which is awesome. It's an all-in-one marketing software that lots of companies use. YouTube is an option, Google Plus. All these are great ways to help educate consumers about your product offerings, or at least remind them of what they already know. Okay, so once we have excited our consumers and we have educated them, now it's time to give them an opportunity to experience our product, whether that's directly or indirectly. And this is an area where students really start to get a little confused because, oh my gosh, Mr. Harrison, I'm online. How am I going to make my my target market? How am I going to make my consumers experience the product? They can't come and touch it or feel it. It's all online, right? Well, kind of. This is where YouTube is really, really useful. Okay, so it allows you to present some really vivid information about a firm's goods or services. It can tell you in a short video how they work, how you use them, where you can find them. But it also helps to give you a really close simulation rather than a virtual. It's more of a real experience. If you're watching somebody do something and you feel like you're here with them, kind of in the same way with these videos. Even though we're not in a real classroom, I hope that watching these and listening to this makes you feel like you are getting the same experience that you might in a traditional lecture-based classroom. Okay, so it's the same thing here with YouTube. If you can't go to a store and see somebody try it out in front of you and explain to you how it works, you can listen to someone do it online. You can watch a video and see them doing that. So that is very common and a very great use of YouTube. We see YouTube used a lot for products that have been sold online for a really long time, so much that we might forget that it's actually used to be difficult to assess these products before you buy them. So this is where, like, if you're buying a blender or something and you can't just try it out online, you can't go in the store and try it out either, really. So this YouTube video comes in handy. You can see people actually using your product, and I have a really funny video about an iPad that I will show you at some point. Okay, so as we're also letting people experience our product, this is where video tutorials, customer testimonials, a featured item of the week, an advice column, this is where all of these things come in handy. So ladies, if you're trying out a new makeup, you can see some tutorials, some before and afters. You can hear some customers talk about how they really enjoyed it. Or you're not sure what to buy, you can read an advice column online in a blog and ask questions and hear from other people. I recently was looking at purchasing a new North Face jacket, which I love buying things in the off season. So in the summer, I buy all my winter coats, and in the winter, I'm buying all of my shorts and bathing suits and stuff like that. So you get great deals that way. But anyway, North Face had a lot of their standard jackets marked down to only 50% off. And being the person that I am purchasing things online, I knew that because of this experience aspect of the 4E social media framework, I knew that I needed to get on a blog and I needed to start asking people, which jacket do I want? Which one's going to be best for rain? Which one's going to be best for temperatures? I like to hike, so which one's going to be best in outside, outdoors? Which one's going to keep me cool so I'm not dying of sweat? So I could read all these blogs and really get a feel for some of these products before I bought them and hear some customer testimonials and that sort of thing. There were actually some YouTube videos of people talking about these things. So hopefully this gives you a clear picture of how you can experience the product or service online without actually touching it in person. Okay. Lastly, now that we've excited, educated, and given our consumers an opportunity to experience our product, now we need to engage our consumers. And again, this is something where it's like, man, how do I engage my consumer if this is all online, Mr. Harrison? What am I doing? Well, you're going to give them an opportunity to actually engage with their social network. Not necessarily with you, it could be with you, but more so with their social network. And once you've gotten all these other 3E's completed, kind of sets the stage for the last one, because with this engagement comes action. It gives you the potential for a relationship and even the possibility to have a long-term commitment and some loyalty. So this is where your blogging comes in again. So through some social media tools like blogging or microblogging like Twitter, customers can actively engage with firms in their own social networks. This engagement can either be positive or negative. They can tell you how much they loved it, how much they hated it. Oh my gosh, the seams ripped on this North Face jacket as soon soon as I got it. I only had it for 3 weeks. Or no, oh my gosh, I love it. I've had it for a year now. It's great. Oh my gosh, everybody should buy this. I'm going to tweet about it. Oh, it's great. So engaging your consumers, getting them to act is really important. And this positive engagement can definitely lead to some higher profits. And studies have actually shown that positively engaged consumers spend about 20 to 40% more on average than those less engaged consumers. So, social media marketing is very, very important, guys. And if you can engage your consumer, they're probably going to spend more money. That's how I became an Amazon junkie after all. Okay, now negative engagement can actually be more detrimental, more damaging than positive engagement can be beneficial. And I have a really funny story for you here about McDonald's that will kind of help illustrate that idea for you that negative engagement can be more damaging than positive engagement can be beneficial. So McDonald's launched this Twitter campaign a while ago. Where they wanted to highlight some positive aspects of their supply chain using the hashtag McD Stories. Okay, so they were trying to aim for that positive engagement. Their marketers knew that this was important, and they wanted to target this aspect of the 4E framework. Well, it just so turns out that this really vague hashtag, McD Stories is pretty vague. It, if you didn't actually read to see what they wanted, and you just started, sharing things, this hashtag actually allowed customers to move the conversation in a very different direction. They started sharing horror stories and all these bad experiences they had while they were eating at the food chain. So I have a little video for you here that I'm going to show. It's very short, but I think this will help to illustrate for you kind of how these things work. So let's see.
Writing's not.
Sorry guys, let me get my sound on.
Nearly 90% of Walden faculty hold doctoral degrees, which means you're getting a top-tier education. For Mashable, I'm Lauren Goris. The Golden Arches have lost some of their luster in the Twitter sphere. It all started with this vague hashtag, McD Stories, which set off a parade of negative tagged tweets. And let's just say Mickey D's wasn't loving it. Some tweets told stories of their own, like at Skip Sullivan. One time, I walked into McDonald's and I could smell type 2 diabetes floating in the air and I threw up. Hashtag McD Stories. Others commented on the meme, at Nilo Taylor. These McD stories never get old, kind of like a box of McDonald's 10-piece chicken McNuggets left in the sun for a week. What makes it worse for McDonald's is it was a promoted hashtag. They paid for the backlash. So a writer for the New York Observer thinks maybe the fast food giant should stick to hash browns instead of hashtags.
Okay, so we'll stop there, but I think you can get a feel for just why exactly this was, how it took a bad turn pretty quickly. Okay, so again, we do want to engage our consumer. This can help us get action, loyalty, and commitment. And of course, the more positively engaged your consumers are, the more profitable your firm will become. Usually, they do spend 20 to 40% more on average, right? But we've learned this engagement can also backfire, as we saw with McDonald's. Okay, so during an in-person class, I would usually have you select a product and describe the 4 E's for that product. Now, because we are, here in an online course where I don't have the opportunity to put you in groups and allow you to share your thoughts, I made an extra credit discussion board titled the 4E Framework Discussion or Social Media 4E's Discussion or something. I can't remember what I called it, something like that. But it's on the syllabus for this week. It'll appear in the discussion board. This is an extra credit assignment. You do not have to do it unless you would like to. But I know it's the end of the semester. People are missing assignments, and you're at that point where you're ready to pull your hair out with finals. So I thought this would be a good time to give you an opportunity to improve your grade if you'd like to do that, learn a little bit about the 4 E's of marketing and social media marketing. So this exact topic will be available to you in the discussion board, and I've given you some very specific directions there, so please make sure you read those. As always, if you have questions about that, let me know. Okay, so moving on, I do have some examples here for you where it gives you an opportunity to read about a situation, and then you get to guess which of the 4 E's is most being exhibited. I'm going to skip over these for now, but I would like for you to try them. I recommend, especially before you take your quiz for this week, taking a look at these. It does give you some pretty specific examples that I think will help you. So I'm going to skip through these for now. I think there's 5 of them. but that should be able to help you. Okay, so we talked about these 4 E's. Now we're going to talk about the wheel of social media engagement. Okay, and we use this unifying framework um, that kind of comprises all of the fundamental drivers of social media engagement. And there are 5 related factors here that we use to engage our consumers. We look at the information effect, the connected effect, the network effect, the dynamic effect, and the timeliness effect. So as we look at all of these, again, we're going to go through each one individually. So as we start with the information effect, um, think about just how powerful social media can be, right? So the outcome of social media, in which relevant information is spread by firms or individuals to other members of its social network, that is the information effect. So this is where your information, whether you're talking about something that's just cute or funny or inspiring, surprising, interesting, whatever it may be, that information is what's key to turning the wheel and engaging your consumers, right? Um, but of course, the relevance of the information and therefore its impact does depend on the context and the receiver of this information. A good example is BMW. So they gained a lot of in-depth information about visitors to a social media site, and they used some data which included income for these consumers, their prior purchase behaviors, and they determined which of these visitors were most likely, based on their purchase history and their income, to purchase a luxury vehicle such as a BMW. And they targeted the advertising specifically at those customers, which sounds like a really good idea and makes sense, right? Well, the problem was that there were other visitors who were not targeted, and they were really upset. They protested pretty vehemently, um, and their biggest argument was that it made them feel like losers because they were not targeted. Oh gosh, I can't afford a BMW, or I haven't ever purchased one before, so you're not going to target me, kind of thing. Um, so this information effect can be really powerful um, for positive or negative PR. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, the connected effect is another outcome of social media that exactly what it sounds like. It satisfies humans' innate need to connect and contact with other people. Um, and it's pretty bidirectional, okay? You learn what your friends are interested in, but they also broadcast their own interest and their opinions to other friends as well. So it's kind of a cycle. And I think this is probably the most obvious thing, but you can connect by checking in, liking things, posting a photo, whatever it might be, if we're talking about Facebook, for example. And you can connect and share all this different type of information, whether it's your location, certain types of food you consume, certain types of restaurants, exercises you've completed, or just a news article, whatever it is. We're all constantly connected in today's society, and we can share this information pretty easily with others, right? Um, Okay, so we've talked about information, the connected effect. Moving on to the network effect. This is another outcome of social media engagement in which every time a person or a firm posts information, it's transferred not only to your friends, but to the poster's vast connections all across social media. And it causes this information just to spread instantaneously, right? And this is probably something that isn't super new to you, right? So if Billy shares a post and then Bob sees it, and Bob shares a post, and Billy and Bob have shared this information to everyone, and then Sierra sees it, and she shares it, and it's to all these people's networks, and it just spreads like wildfire. Um, this is positive for most from a marketing perspective because people who are discussing a product or sharing it are more likely to buy it. So, if I see a product for oh gosh, I don't know, trash bags. I'm probably not going to share that, right? Because I don't really need those right this moment. But if I see an awesome diploma frame that I think my students would like, or if I see a handmade um, sign that's shaped like the state of Tennessee that has our school logo on it, oh gosh, I'm going to share that. They're going to be handmade. They're selling them now for 20 bucks. Oh gosh, everybody get one. I want one. I'm going to share it, right? So people who are discussing these products are more likely to buy them on average, okay? And something to think about is the credibility and the influence of the original poster and the network of partners, the people who continue to share the post. That'll kind of determine the ultimate influence of the post. And I learned this the hard way. I saw an advertisement at one time that Starbucks had a blueberry cheesecake frappuccino, and I was just so excited to try this frappuccino that was blueberry cheesecake. If I love cheesecake, anything. And so I marched into Starbucks in Johnson City, and I took my phone and showed them this is what I want. I'm super excited about this, and oh my gosh, Mr. Harrison, I'm so sorry. We don't have this. This is only in the UK, and it was of course not in the article anywhere that it said that. But I was so excited. But the credibility, it was shared from Bustle or some funny source, and I was like, well, probably not the most credible. It's my own fault. I should know better. So this network effect is important because it does allow information to spread like wildfire. It got all the way here from the UK, and I was excited about it, but I didn't really look at my credibility of the source before I ran in there and said, oh yeah, I want this blueberry frappuccino, and embarrass myself. So, okay, another example here, just to illustrate this for you, is Katy Perry and CoverGirl. So, for example, if Katy Perry is helping CoverGirl try to expand the knowledge of their product and just promote their product in general, a lot of companies will hire a celebrity or a pseudo-celebrity with a lot of large followings to try to encourage them to upload a picture or write a post about their product to try to help them. And they do this because of this network effect. So even though CoverGirl itself may only have 2,000 Twitter followers, if Katy Perry has almost 80 million, she can write a quick little tweet, close up of her eyelashes, and put a plug in there for CoverGirl, and boom, they've reached millions of followers in a matter of just a few moments. People who love Katy Perry, oh gosh, she uses CoverGirl, for sure gonna go get it, right? So that network effect is really important. We also have what we call the dynamic effect, and this just refers to the way in which information is exchanged to network participants through a back and forth communications in an active and effective manner, and it expands the impact of the network effect by explaining and examining how people flow in and out of a network. So all that is to say, let me put this in English for you. So this dynamic effect really is just talking about the back and forth communication between participants in a network. So think about the Sol Wave Hotel in Mallorca, Spain. They have a full-time Twitter concierge who just constantly stays in contact with the guest. If the guest has a problem, that person is online, ready to answer it, provide a resolution to your problem. It's just a hashtag away, right? So that backbone communication is important. This kind of relates also to the timeliness effect, which is essentially just saying that firms are concerned with being able to engage with the consumer at the right time and the right place. And in today's society, we expect 24/7 correspondence. We want people to be right back with us. We have a problem. We're not patient people in today's society. So, and this is important because the timeliness with which you respond can really impact your consumers' buying intentions going forward and their return business. So, some interesting fun facts for you here. 24% of Twitter users who fail to get a quick response say they will never buy again from that firm in the future. So 24%. 35% who received fast responses said they would buy more from that company. 70% of Twitter users in general say that they do expect a response from the company if they tweet something. And 53% of those people expect a response within an hour or less. Or if a complaint is filed, 72% of people expect a response within an hour or less. So this timeliness is really important. Okay, going on as well to that thought of reaching the right customer at the right time, Coca-Cola relies on what we call beacon technology, and it allows them to kind of detect where customers are at every moment using information from their smartphones, which there's a lot of debate about this and whether or not it's ethical in today's society, but we've already discussed ethics, so I'm not going to go into that right now. Otherwise, we'd be here for 3 hours. Anyway, a lot of companies will use this beacon technology to see where you are, and a lot of times they will target you, to excite you, as we talked about before, with some type of advertisement. So Coke actually does this with a lot of people at certain movie theaters. If you have a certain app on your phone that Coke is, a part of, they can instantly send you a quick little coupon for a free Coke at the movies the second you walk in. So this just helps to illustrate this wheel of social media engagement for you. Some major takeaways here. More than anything, guys, it's just important to understand that those connections are important between firms and their consumers. Our posts can contain some super great information that can really help consumers understand its product better. The more engaged you are on social media, the more likely you are to have more profits. These are all things that I believe are pretty common sense in today's society. So we're going to talk about some categories of social media, and please forgive me. I do feel that as relatively young people, the majority of you are probably familiar with social media, so I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on each of these categories. I think that, again, some of these are pretty obvious. Our first category are our social networking sites. This is a great way for marketers to create some excitement. We use Facebook if we want to interact with friends, or maybe use Snapchat, whatever it might be, but we use something of that nature to network with our friends. If you want to network with business acquaintances or professional folk, we probably use LinkedIn or a different service like that. But I believe this is something that's pretty important because you can now actually track your screen time and view the amount of time people spend on these sites. But research usually does indicate that the average individual spends anywhere between 1 and 4 hours every day on some form of social media, whether that be LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. So it's pretty interesting. So again, we see Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google Plus as different types of social networking sites, and these are usually used typically to excite consumers. Okay, the next type of social media we're going to talk about are media sharing sites. And this kind of helps to highlight how consumers can experience a good or a service. It also encourages consumers to engage with the firm. So some examples you might see: YouTube, Instagram, Flickr. Some of these things are useful to help consumers engage and experience the product. And then we also have thought sharing sites such as blogs, and there are 3 different types of blogs we're going to talk about. There's corporate blogs, professional blogs, and personal blogs. We have what are called microblogs as well. Twitter is the best example of a microblog that you guys are going to be familiar with. But these thought sharing sites are just really good for educating, engaging, and allowing consumers to experience the product. As we look at these different types of blogs, a corporate blog is exactly what it sounds like. It's a blog that is created by a company. It allows them control over the content that is posted on that blog, so usually managed by a specific company. Okay. We also have professional blogs, and those are the blogs that are written by people who review and give recommendations on product or services. And usually there's less control here than there are corporate blogs. And then finally, our third category of blog that we're going to talk about are personal blogs. Those are blogs that are written by people who really receive no products or no remuneration for their efforts. And this is the lowest of the control of the 3 blogs that we've talked about. People can really kind of post anything they want here. Okay, so again, thought sharing sites are blogs and microblogs like Twitter. They're used to educate, engage, and allow consumers to experience products and services. Okay, we're going to change gears here for just a second to kind of talk about mobile advertising just a little bit and m-commerce. So it's interesting, of the 184 million people who have smartphones, around 60% or more of them actually make purchases on their devices almost every day. Again, I'm an Amazon junkie, so I'm constantly using my phone for Amazon purchases. But it's interesting because almost 10 billion of these mobile downloads and these in-app revenues were accrued in 2015, even though nearly 93% of apps are free. So how does this happen, and how do we do this? You're going to find out how people use these apps to make just so much money, even though most of them are free. So why do people use apps? What are the primary needs that apps meet for people? Honestly, the most common need is just a need for me time. I don't know about you, but after I've taught all day and I've made video lectures and I've taught in person, and I've been an extrovert all day, I'm ready to come home and have some me time. I'm ready to watch some Netflix and just chill for a little bit. maybe I'm ready to play a game like Words with Friends, or my mother is obsessed with Candy Crush. You might have your game of choice, but you need some me time just for some entertainment. This is the most popular reason that people use apps in today's society. We also have a need to socialize, so maybe you use Facebook or Twitter or Skype or WhatsApp, but we have that need for socialization. We also have a need for shopping, and something interesting here about apps and shopping is there's a process called showrooming, and I am 110% guilty of showrooming in almost every context of the word. But showrooming is defined as a process through which a consumer visits a store to actually touch, feel, and maybe talk about a product's features with a sales associate. But then they go and they instantly compare prices online to see whether a better deal is available. I did this just the other day. I think I've told you guys I've working on remodeling my house, and I don't think I'm ever going to get to live at home again for like a year or two, but because it's taken forever. But anyway, I'm looking for little things at a time, like ceiling fans or vent registers, and I'm terrible. I'll go and I'll look at Lowe's and I'll compare with Home Depot, and then I'll get on Amazon and see, oh gosh, do they have this cheaper? Where can I get this cheaper? And I'll usually always buy it online instead, but I use the store aspect to showroom, to go look at it and see and touch and feel and make sure I'm going to like the item, and then I get it cheaper online somewhere else. So that's showrooming. We also have a need to accomplish things in society, and that's another reason why we use our apps today. Maybe you have a banking app on your phone. I know I'm constantly checking to make sure I didn't run down to zero right before payday. Always checking my app for that reason. So you can use an app to manage your fitness. Another thing that people use apps for in today's society is to improve your health. There's MyFitnessPal. There's even a water drinking app. One of my students introduced me to this just a couple of semesters ago. She has this fancy water bottle that's like connected to her this mobile app on her phone, and every time she drinks, it monitors how much water she's drinking, and every time she fills it up, and if she's not drinking enough, the bottle starts like vibrating and lighting up and tells her to drink. It happened in class once, which is why we started talking about it. But interesting things there. So we have a need to accomplish. Okay, we also have a need to be prepared. And this is where we all usually have calendar apps, or maybe multiple calendars. If you're like me and you have more than one job, you are probably constantly checking your calendar and always looking to make sure that you're prepared. We also have a need to discover. So maybe you're searching for the weather, you're reading magazines online, you're reading the news online. We have a need for discovery. And then finally, we have a need to self-express and connect with aficionados, or fans of any certain hobby. So as we look at these, okay, so you're wondering again, well, we have all these needs for apps, that's great, and 93% of apps are free. So why do we make so much money every year off of apps? Well, there's different types of apps. Okay, we have our ad-supported apps, and these are those that are free to download, but ads often appear on the screen. And our firms usually generate revenue while users interact with the app. So even though they're free for us to download, as we're interacting, the firm is still making money. We also have what are called freemium apps, and these are apps that are free to download, but they include in-app purchases that enable the user to enhance the app. This is really commonly seen with games. So again, the app is free to purchase, hence freemium, but once you're in there, you have to pay a premium, hence the term freemium again, a combination there of free and premium. You have to pay an additional charge so that you can acquire something or get something. So in Candy Crush, you get so many lives to play, and when you lose a life, you either have to wait 30 minutes to get that life back, or you can use one of those in-app purchases and pay $1, where you get all 5 lives back almost immediately, and you can just keep playing. Just this feature of earning those 5 lives back immediately wins Candy Crush about $623 to $800,000 every day, just because people did not want to die or wanted to regain their life more quickly. So pretty incredible when you think about that. Also, paid apps. This is pretty obvious. This is where We charge our consumers an upfront price to download the app. Usually 99 cents is the most common. But then once they've paid that, it is 100% free for them to do anything they want inside of that app. They have full functionality once they've downloaded it. Um, and then finally, we also have these paid apps with an in-app purchase, which is where they pay for the app, and then they also pay premiums to upgrade things once they're in the app. They can buy that additional functionality. So, pretty interesting there. So, okay, all of this is now going to come full circle. So now that you've learned some terminology, well, how do our firms actually engage customers using the social media? What do we do? Well, there's a three-stage process. We start by listening to customers and seeing what they have to say. We analyze the information that's available to us through all of these touch points, through all of this online marketing. And then we implement our social media tactics to try to excite our customers, that first aspect of the 4E framework, right? So as we listen, we can do a lot of different things here. We can look to see what they're saying on social networks. We can read blogs. We can review their sites and reviews and such. A lot of times customers are pretty willing in today's society to really share their opinion about anything that involves their interest or their purchases. Sometimes they're sharing it online with their friends, or again, sometimes it's on one of our sites in a review. We also can use a a technique known as sentiment analysis. And this is where marketers analyze the content found on Facebook, Twitter, online blogs, and other types of reviews to really assess the favorableness or the unfavorableness of the sentiments of customers. So for example, again, I always ask my students this in an in-person class, but as we're looking at consumers' attitudes and their preferences, if someone were to go through all of your personal social media sites, your Snapchat, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, what would they discover about you, your personal preferences, your attitudes? What would they learn about you? They would learn that, about me, that I love shopping for common household goods online. They would learn that I'm usually looking at clothes or some kind of household good, or right now, remodeling items for a house. So those kind of things. What would they look about you? What are you shopping for online? And what does that say about you as a customer? So we need to listen. Sometimes that involves researching more so than listening. But once we've done this, we analyze. Okay, so and as we're analyzing, we're looking at three things. We want to know how many, who, and from where. Okay, so after looking at analyzing the number or how many, we're looking at the amount of traffic on all of these sites. We're looking at how many people are visiting our blogs, how many people are tweeting about us. And a lot of times we measure our success, and measurement is a really big thing in social media, and you're going to learn more about this next week, but this is like one of the most important parts of this video, okay? So we measure our success in social media by looking at the number of hits, okay? How many requests were there for our page? How many people have visited our certain site? How many different unique visitors have we had? How many times did that one visitor come back to our site? And how many times were they just looking one time? So all those are things to consider. We also look at page views, the number of times that a certain page gets viewed by a certain visitor. Kind of said that, but I wanted to give you that term. Okay, our second category under analysis is that we look at the who or the whom, okay? So it's really important to learn who these visitors are, what they're doing while they're on our site, and what specifically engages or excites them, or maybe what turns them off. So here we're looking at bounce rates, click paths, and conversion rates, and I'll define all of this for you in just a moment. A bounce rate is, think about somebody who walks into a restaurant and there's too many people in here. I'm going to bounce out, right? That's a slang term, but these bounce rates just refer to the percentage of time that a visitor leaves the site almost immediately. Maybe they didn't even view the whole page. They were just there for 10 seconds. Oh, nope, clicking out of that one, right? They just clicked on it and boom, they're gone. That's a bounce rate. A click path refers to how users proceed through the information. And this is kind of the same way that grocery stores will monitor how people go through their aisles to try to constantly move things around and facilitate how to improve the shopping process. But these click paths show exactly where they went on your site, in what order, what they did, what they didn't do, that kind of thing. And then finally, our conversion rates Conversion rates measure how many people did what we wanted them to do. How many how many customers, how many visitors acted as the marketer hoped or expected. And that can be, did they click on what we wanted them to click on? Did they buy what we wanted them to buy? Did they donate like we wanted them to? Whatever the goal of our site, did they do what we wanted them to do? Did they convert as a customer? Okay. And then finally, our third category of analysis, once we figured out how many and we figured out what they're doing on the site or the who, we want to know where they came from, the from where aspect. So this has always been kind of creepy to me. We want to know, what site were you on before you came to our site? And a lot of times, this is where Google and Amazon and Bing and Yahoo and all those different search engines can come in handy. But we look at what we call keyword analysis to determine what keywords people are using to search on the internet for our products and our services. So, what are they typing in? And how can we refine our websites by choosing keywords to use on our sites that match the same terminology that our customers are using, making them come up first in the search results? So, if you're searching for sweatpants, do you want the kind that has the fleece on the inside, or do you want a thinner one? Do you want some that are good for running or some that are good in cold weather? And what do people call them? Do they search cold winter sweats, or do they search sweats with fleece, sweats with lining? How do people search for these things? So you want to make sure that you're changing your keywords to use the same terminology that your customers are using. And this is something that you can use frequently, almost every day. And we're going to talk about Google AdWords and some other ways to do this next week. But again, this week I just want you to be understanding the terminology. Okay, so here are all of our aspects of this analysis. We have our hits, page views, our bounce rates, click paths, conversion rates, and our keyword analysis. Okay, so now that we've listened and we've analyzed, it's time to actually do or implement. And there are some steps that are involved in the implementation of our social media marketing campaign. As we are implementing, we want to identify some strategy and some goals. So, what's our goal? What are we trying to do? Do we want to increase awareness of our product? Do we want more people to visit and like our page? Do we want to increase sales of our product? What's our goal? Maybe we determine that, we decide we want to increase awareness and we're going to develop a Facebook page. Okay, so now that we've done this, Facebook is cool, even though I know generally only older people are using Facebook these days. Facebook is a great way to enable your firm to perform some targeting that's usually based on education level, gender, profession, age, relationship status, location, certain languages, likes and dislikes, so on and so forth. And marketers can aim to usually find an audience that is big enough that they reach all of those who might potentially adopt their product. But they don't want an audience that is so big that they end up trying to appeal to someone way outside of their target audience. Okay, so we do need a somewhat specific target audience. So once you have identified your strategy and goals, you do need to pick your platform and identify that your target audience that you're trying to target there. We also want to go ahead and develop our campaign. This is where we try to allow our customers to experiment and engage. So now that we know who we're targeting, we want to go ahead and develop our actual communications, create our images and our copies. This is not super different from a traditional IMC campaign. There should still be a call to action. We want those strong, eye-catching displays and images. We want all these messages and images need to be updated constantly, unlike like a TV ad or a radio ad where you hear the same thing over and over again. Social media and advertisements need to be changed daily or at least weekly at the very latest to be effective. Okay, once we've done this, we need to go ahead and set a budget. And you need to decide how much you're going to spend. Are you going to have your ad be kind of taken down once you've reached a certain level that it just disappears? Or are you going to have it up and just let it continuously keep charging you up to a certain amount? What are you going to do? And this is a kind of a fine line. It's a risky option because if you're getting really good feedback and then all of a sudden an ad disappears, well, that's not good, right? But if you are also not promoting your product enough, or it's there all the time, you don't want to spend too much either. So looking at your budget daily, making adjustments where needed, is necessary. That constant review is important. Okay, And then finally, the last thing we want to do is we want to monitor and make changes. Just like anything in the business world, you can't just set it up to go and you're done, right? It requires constant change, constant monitoring. You have to check things every day. Um, if we're talking about a Facebook ad, there's actually a Facebook ad manager that offers all these different metrics and reports. We can see how many people clicked on our ads, the demographics of our audience. We can see the performance for a certain time period. So maybe it was just during lunchtime when people were scrolling through their phones while they're shoveling down their lunch really quick. Maybe that's when they were looking at this and they clicked on it, or maybe it was at night when people couldn't sleep, and maybe we want to change it to only show our ad during those peak hours. So different options, but this constant monitoring and constant change and alterations, those are all necessary things for success in social media marketing. So I hope you've enjoyed this short little presentation, and I'm very sad that our class is drawing to an end, but I am excited that I've had the opportunity to share this information with you guys. Lastly, I do want to remind you to please don't forget to complete a survey about our course. Those are helpful to me each semester in designing my instruction, and they are important in the hiring process as well, and the firing processes too. But please make sure that you do complete a review. If you have some time, I would really appreciate you doing that. I hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.